Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Millsap Elementary School Parent Meeting. My name is Dene Lee, and I have the amazing privilege to be superintendent in the best community anywhere, Millsap, Texas. And I want to start by saying thank you for the engagement that I see in Bulldog Nation right now, because it shows we all have one common goal, and that is to do everything we can for the success of our kids. Now, sometimes our opinions differ on what best is, but it still shows that we are unified in our mission to make kids' dreams come true, that we partner together to be premier, and that we value ethical behavior and personal integrity. So I want to thank you for being our partners in that. And that's why you're here tonight. So I would like to start by introducing our Board of Trustees. I can promise you there is not a better board anywhere because they put your child first every single time in every decision that they make. So tonight, a special message from your board.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dean Herbel, and I'm privileged to be the school board president for the Millsap ISD Board of Trustees. I'm in my 21st year of service on the board. As we embark on this year, there will be unprecedented challenges for students, teachers, and parents. We on the board would like to share a message with you from our heart about our community, that it is a blessing to be part of the Millsap community, and it is a privilege to be part of this district on the board and as a parent. It's humbling that together with you, we are shaping the future of your students.
It is the board's desire that each student be successful in the short term, but especially in the long run. We know all parents hope for the best for their children as well. In the end, success of each student may look slightly different. College degrees, military service, proficiency in technical skills, a full-time parenting are all noble pursuits. The path of each pursuit will have distinct differences.
As Mr. Burton just indicated, we understand that these noble pursuits will have some very unique differences, but we also believe that these noble pursuits require many of the same virtues: integrity, hard work, dedication, perseverance, self-control, discipline, compassion, respect for others. For this reason, the very first Millsap district value is that we value the development of the whole child.
Of course, we all enjoy winning in athletic contests, the performing arts, and academic achievements. But if a Millsap graduate does not exhibit the core virtues mentioned above, we are concerned that they are not truly prepared for a successful life. Stated another way, we would prefer that our athletic teams lose with integrity than to win by cheating or behaving dishonorably. Don't misunderstand. We aim to train our athletes, artists, and students to win, but the training must be founded upon the core virtues. The board recognizes it is impossible for a public school system to impart these virtues to students alone.
For this reason, the district's second value emphasizes the partnership between the school district and parents/community. The board believes that parents are the primary teacher, mentor, role model for their children. While the district can and should bring valuable academic expertise to the partnership, we as parents will always retain ultimate responsibility for our child's preparation for a successful life. As partners, it is super important that we always remember we are on the same team, striving for the same goal, preparing our children for a successful life.
As a proud parent and a board member, to have an effective partnership, it is critical that the partners accept the responsibility for their share of the burden and that they commit to work diligently to achieve the common goal. It is highly likely somewhere along the journey the partners will encounter a challenge that may lead to the partners viewing an issue from the different perspectives. It is essential that the partners treat each other with respect at all times, especially when the difference of perspectives arrive and create the possibility of a conflict. Another key component of a successful partnership is accountability. If the school district is not living up to its responsibility, for every student, parents have the right to raise that red flag in a respectful manner to ensure the district is held responsible to remedy the shortfall.
Likewise, if parents are not living up to their responsibilities, it is the student's overall best interest that the district raise the red flag in a respectful manner and help the parent understand that the district cannot and should not perform the parent's responsibilities. As has been mentioned several times, acceptance of properly divided responsibilities and respectful treatment of all partnership participants is vital to achieving the common goal. Based upon these principles, the board will never ask a parent to be subject to disrespect by a district staff member. That will not be tolerated. Similarly, the board will never ask a staff member to be subject to disrespect by a parent or student. That will not be tolerated. Please remember, character development of our children is paramount. Same team, same goal. The school and parents have different but equally important responsibilities in achieving the goal. Be respectful. Together, we can prepare our children for success.
Thank you, board. And I hope you can see how they do support all of us as we're working together. And one of the commitments the district made to you was to support you in this next year. As we know, it is going to be an unprecedented year with a lot of challenges, but we're here to support you. And our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Edie Martin, is going to explain some of the ways that we will be doing that. Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Good evening, and thanks to everyone who came. It is a pleasure to work at Millsap ISD with a great board and a great superintendent. And I've had the distinct pleasure of working the last few years a lot with Millsap Elementary. So it's a blessing to be here. I am certainly a district employee as the assistant superintendent, but even more importantly, I have a daughter here at Millsap ISD. And so I think I understand the importance, at least as a parent. It's important for me to really see and understand the whole view of what's going on. And I know as a parent, that's your desire too, to understand what's going on so you can make a good decision for your children. With that, we have put together some resources we'd like to show you. So I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully at this point you are seeing, it's a work in progress is what it's called at this point, because it will be released this Thursday on August 6th. So hopefully what you're seeing is information and tutorials for parents. And this is, gosh, what we're living in today is a very fluid situation, just as this website is designed to be fluid. In other words, we're going to show you what we currently have planned, but we would love to hear from you and tell us what you need. If this doesn't meet your needs or if you want something different, let us know. We are going to update this information. So currently what you're going to find when you click in here on August 6th are all the resources that we have available. We have resources for students and families who are learning in person here at school, or for families that have chosen that their children learn at home. So these are the two icons that you'll be looking for. And as you scroll down here, you will see that our resources include all the following things, such as each student will be receiving a Chromebook to take home this year. They will take it home and they will bring it back each day for instruction. And this is some Chromebook overview. It's tips and insights on how you might use that Chromebook. That would be beneficial for in-person learners as well as at-home learners. We also have aligned our learning management system this year. We have Canvas for the older grades, but for your grade levels for pre-K through 6, we'll be using Google Classroom. So here you can find some resources on Google Classroom. We've also tried to align our expectations. What is it that a student will do in this environment, or how can a parent support or teacher support that will help everyone be successful? That can be found here as well. We are so pleased to introduce the single sign-on this year. That is going to simplify our students and your lives from home as they work together on all the resources provided by the school district. This will literally be a single sign-on, and our technology director, Mr. John Breeze, will be creating a video to put right here so you can learn more about that. There are always many questions about student attendance in this environment. Attendance for remote learners. You can see that that specifically is for learners who are learning at home. And again, we want your insight. We want your feedback, and we know you're going to have questions and need some help time and again. So please notice we will continue to have the help hotline and the question corner, just like we did in the spring semester. These will be regularly hosted so that you can get timely feedback. Finally, I think that you're going to find this resource very beneficial. This is the weekly class agenda. And so each week, all of our teachers have committed to posting their weekly agenda so that you can see exactly each day, Monday through Friday, what's being learned, as well as how attendance is taken, what the activity of the day is, and so on and so forth. So this, we hope, is a resource that will benefit you. I'd also like to take just a moment, if you will. If you have not yet registered for school, we would encourage you to do that. We look so forward to everybody being back. It is a lonely place without students and teachers, and we're excited to have everyone return. If you have not registered yet, our Millsap ISD online registration is open. You can see if you're a new student, you can click this button and register under new student registration, and returning students can register in the second blue box. If you need some insight on how to do that, just look at this video, or if you need a personal contact to receive feedback from an individual at the campus, here are the numbers. Most importantly, we want you to know, we know this is a tough environment. This is unlike anything we have ever done, but from our hearts, we are here to serve you. We are saddened of the situation at hand, but we want to listen to everything you need, you and your family, when we're going to do our best to meet your needs. We are really believe we're together in this. It's a partnership, and we know when we're all striving to work together that our kids are going to be the ones who win. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and please let us know what you need. Thank you very much, Miss Lee.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. I would now like to take the opportunity to introduce our new resource officer. We fondly refer to these as our SROs, and our new SRO is Deputy Michael Gallagher. Deputy Gallagher graduated from the University of Delaware in 2001 with a BA in criminal justice and was captain of the university swim team. He worked in a Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office in California for 17 years before moving to Parker County. He and his wife have 3 children, and he took the SRO position because he feels he can make a difference early in kids' lives. And doesn't that picture right there let you know that I think we're going to have a lot of fun this year? So welcome, Deputy Gallagher. Just a couple of reminders on Thursday. A commitment form will be released. Now, this is different than the survey that we did previously. That was just to give us a preliminary idea of how many of you felt that you would be sending your child to school or learning at home. But this will be a commitment form that we will need in order to finish planning for the start of school. So it will be released on Thursday, and then we're asking that if at all possible, you have it filled out for each of your children by Monday. I know that's a fairly quick turnaround, but then we will have less than 2 weeks to finish getting ready for the start of school. And so we want to make sure that we have everything ready for you and your kids. We also want you to know that that commitment form is for the first 6 weeks. Each 6 weeks, you will have an opportunity to change your choice. And even if the governor's order changes during a 6 weeks, then yes, that commitment would be for the remainder of the 6 weeks. And that is due to the grading period and how the grading and report card will work. We also have talked about the bus and transportation, and absolutely, yes, we will have transportation. Now, we are asking that if you are able to bring your child to school or pick them up, that you do that to help, not have as much crowding on the bus. Now, certainly, if you need that service, it is available for you. We will have protocols for the bus. There will be sanitizer when you get on the bus. We'll have a check-in for the kids so we know who's on the bus. They will be separated as much as we can. Masks will be required on the bus for 10 and up. We'll group children's families together so they can sit together to help with that space as well. And even when the governor's orders change, then we will still need masks on the bus because they will be in close proximity. We'll be cracking the windows just a little bit to help with airflow and some of that kind of thing. But as much as possible, though, we're asking that if you are able to bring your children to school, that you do that to help us with the bus situation. I very much appreciate the questions that have been submitted to the questions corner, and we are going to spend tonight answering as many of those as we can. Obviously, it's not possible to answer every single one of them, but we will answer as many as possible, especially the most frequently asked questions. I do want to show you a feature. If you're not familiar with this format, if you look at the bottom of your screen, if you're watching on your phone, it may be over to the side on your phone. But if you're using a computer, at the bottom, there's a little box that has Q&A. And if you click on that, if we don't answer your question, or if you need a clarifying question, then you click on that box and type in there. And then as different ones are talking, we have several on here, as you see. We have Mrs. Bradshaw, we have Mrs. Haygood, who you'll meet in just a minute, a new assistant principal. Of course, Mrs. Martin, you just saw myself, and then also Mr. Breeze, technology director. And we also have our phones. So if you ask a question that we might not know, then we can call our helpline. Maybe it's the nurse or one of the directors or something. Then we'll try to get that answer for you tonight live as much as we possibly can. So right now I am going to start answering some of the most frequently asked questions. And so first of all, obviously the most commonly asked question is, so how come a parent or a student doesn't have the choice to make the decision about whether to wear a face covering or not? Right now, currently under the governor's executive orders, it is not a choice whether to wear face masks or not. It is not optional for students or staff, except in very rare circumstances. I cannot and I will not speak about decisions made by other school districts, but in Millsap ISD, we are committed to and we value integrity and ethical behavior, and that does include upholding the law. We believe that children are educated to be upstanding citizens of this United States, and we do believe that the school system is to stand as the most important example of that. The reason why we're holding this meeting tonight virtually and not in person is because for all of the people who would want to attend, we could not house that in the gym and spread people out and have the physical distancing necessary and also keep in order with the governor's orders right now. So we are using this format. We have asked you to submit questions before. We are including not only the questions corner, but now we also have the staff back on campus so you can ask questions. So we are here to answer as many questions as we possibly can for you. Another common face covering question is whether they can be removed in class if things are, desks and so forth are at least 6 feet apart. The Texas Education Agency, I have submitted this question 3 times myself personally, and each time the commissioner talks about it in one of his calls, we had another one just today at 3 o'clock, he says that he is getting clarification on that from the governor's orders. So as soon as we have that clarified, I will provide that in an update. I will tell you, even when that's possible though, there are many of our classrooms that we can't have 6 feet within a part of the desks. Now we are trying to get dividers like the plexiglass that you've seen some, but we are trying to do things throughout the day to be able to provide face covering breaks. And we've talked about if the weather is nice, especially, in the mornings, the past few mornings, it's been quite comfortable going out and distancing for breaks. And of course at meals and at PE, music and things like that, as much physical distancing as possible and providing breaks. But whenever we get those kinds of updates, then we do provide those to you as soon as we possibly can. But again, we will be consistent with our guidance from both the governor's orders and TEA. Currently, at least again, as of today's call with the commissioner, a mask is not required under a face shield. Now, they do recommend that you still wear a mask under a face shield, but it is not required. And I know for myself that a shield is preferred whenever I have meetings all day. It's much more comfortable. And if you remember that the board has approved that you can wear a cap if it has a face covering attached to it. We have seen both the shields that are attached as well as the little buttons that the masks are on the buttons instead of on the ears. So those are some options too. One idea too, you have asked about, what if our child puts their mask down? How do we know they won't lose it or somebody else gets it or my child picks up somebody else's? And so Miss Bradshaw saw this idea and she has already purchased lanyards, and the lanyard attaches to the mask, and every student will get one of these awesome Millsap Bulldog reusable washable masks that you can just wear if you choose to, don't have to, as far as if you prefer your own. We also just yesterday got in the face shields. Now they're not green, this is the protective covering that's on them, but they fit around the head, or sometimes you can, like I said, get those that fit around the cap, but this could also be tightened to fit around a cap as well. And so that way it is much more comfortable. So that will work. A lot of people are liking the gaiters that you wear around your neck and you can pull up and down. I was at football practice today and at volleyball practice, and they're working out and wearing face coverings. And whenever they are, of course, in that actual act of the physical exercise, they pull them down. And so they're still having a great time and enjoying themselves as they're getting ready for their seasons. Let's see, another frequently asked question. So what if my child has an exception to the face covering requirement? So I will consider each of those myself and make the final determination, whether that's due to a medical condition or something else. And I personally am calling each doctor for those that are submitted. Also, the protocol for symptoms and quarantining. So the nurse on each campus is posting specific information for that campus on the website. But in general, if someone, an adult or student, would present symptoms while they're at school, then we will have an isolation area. So the student would remain in the isolation area until a parent can pick them up, and certainly, they will be taken care of there, and it will be someplace that we can watch and observe. And then, of course, other students would be moved from the area while that area is disinfected and sanitized and so forth. And then if a parent gives permission, We will have the rapid COVID tests right there on campus. These are the ones that you get a result within about 15 minutes. Now, we also will have things like the flu test, a strep test, but no test would ever be administered without parent permission. And you've probably heard about our partnership with the county medical hospital district. And so we are going to have med pods. So the nurse will actually have a connection with the county health official, the doctor. And so they will be in constant contact. But there is a release. And so if you choose for your child to not be treated at school, then of course, certainly they would not. But that is an option. And the rapid COVID tests will definitely be helpful for many of us. If there is a positive case, then the entire school would be notified. Now, close contact, if we're able to determine those who are in close contact, and sometimes that's hard in a school because they do, even though we're trying to physical distance as much as possible, there's a lot of back and forth. But for those that we determine close contact, then they will be contacted individually and personally, but the entire school will know when there is a positive case. And we will disinfect and sanitize the school, and especially the area where the student was, as quickly as possible. There could be a possibility that the school would be closed for a day or two while that's happening. That might not have to be the case, but it might be. And in that case, then everyone would go remote for that time period. As far as quarantining goes, it's a very detailed protocol. If you go to our back to school plan, that page is at the bottom of that plan. It does change just a little bit every day, so we do have a little bit of updating to do on that. However, the campus nurse will work with each family so that you will know when it's okay for your student to return back to school. In the meantime, though, anytime someone is at home, whether it be for a quarantine for COVID or even they're just sick, then they can continue their instruction remotely, so they won't lose any instruction. A screener will be filled out for students by 7:30 a.m. every Monday, and some have asked, so why will a student just have a screener once a week whenever staff has one for every day? Well, we obviously have far fewer staff than we do students, and it has to be checked manually to see who turned in a screener and who did not. And then for those who did not, then we contact the parent and let the parent know that, before your child can return to school, we've got to have a screener. So that has to be checked manually, and as you can imagine, that would take about a day. The other reason, though, the main reason, is because research shows that many times children, particularly the younger children like at elementary, are asymptomatic. In other words, they don't even have symptoms. So they might not necessarily have a temperature or some of the other symptoms that we hear about. So that's one of the main reasons why that a daily screener would not really be as helpful as some might think. But obviously, just like you always do, monitor your child and how they feel. And if they're not feeling well, that for any reason, then they wouldn't come to school, but particularly if they have symptoms of COVID. Yes, we will have Zone this year. We will have our after-school program. It will follow the same protocols as during the school day. We probably won't start that, for about a week. We'll get everything set and get school rolling, but then we will have our after-school Zone, just like we always have. The information that you might want for UIL or other extracurricular activities will come directly from sponsors and directors. We'll also have some of that on the website if you've been wondering about football games and things like that. Yes, your child can bring their lunch. I know a lot of you like to fix your children's lunches every day, and so certainly that's okay. Many of you are also asking about being able to eat with your child. And we want to make some type of accommodation for that. What we are asking though, give us a couple weeks to get school started, and then particularly if the weather can get a little nicer, then perhaps we can have an area outside for a parent and child to eat together. But we will figure something out, but we would like to get kind of the routine of school going, and then we'll get more information to you about that. And speaking of going outside, some of you have been concerned about, if it's too hot. Well, just like in the winter, if it is not safe or not good for kids to be outside, then certainly, we won't be doing that. So teachers, as they always have, will monitor the weather and, not go outside if it's not safe to do so. Students do need to bring their own water bottle with a lid. If it has a straw, that straw needs to collapse inside the top of the lid and go back into the bottle. Our water fountains, most of them have been fitted as filling stations. And so we will have staff members monitoring those and helping to refill those bottles safely. I know some of the supply lists have included Clorox wipes, and we know those are pretty much impossible to get right now. Those are just typically on the supply list. Certainly it would be helpful if you can find them, but if you can't, don't worry about it. Once you do find them, if you do, then please bring them. But during the day, we will be cleaning with a product called Pure and Clean. And I want you to know, as a mother myself, this brings a lot of comfort to me because it is non-toxic. It is EPA approved, but you literally can spray it and wipe your hand across it, and it is not toxic. It can get on your clothing, it can get on your skin, and it does disinfect and sanitize, but it does not harm. And it also is alcohol-free. It doesn't have fumes. So we are very pleased that we have found this product. And some of you have asked also about teachers and wearing more comfortable clothing. And the reason why we approved that, again, there's going to be a lot of cleaning going on all throughout the day. As well, the CDC recommends that as soon as you possibly can, that you wash your clothes every day. So in order for teachers to comfortably do that, then we are allowing them to dress more comfortably this year. I appreciate the concern that many of you have shown for our teachers. We know we absolutely have rock stars for teachers, and the elementary teachers care so much about your kids. And some of you have shown your concern about the extra stress that all of this is adding to teachers and the preparation and them working online. So I want you to know that we have tried very, very hard to provide support for them, training, time. We're giving them time at the beginning of the school year when we're normally in a lot of meetings and trainings and things. They are going to have that time to be making preparations. We have a plan so that they can split things up, and so they won't be completely responsible for taking care of everyone in their classroom and all of the online. They're going to be splitting up some of those responsibilities, and we will continue to provide help, support, and training for them as well. We also are going to hire some extra personnel to help with some of these things so that our teachers won't be overwhelmed. But again, I want to thank you for the concern that you have shown for our teachers. So we are excited to continue this long relationship that we have had together, and we fully understand, I personally fully understand your concerns, and we are trying to work together to try to find a place where we know that we can come together and be satisfied, maybe not completely happy, but satisfied that we are we're doing this for our kids. And so what can we do for the best for them? So our administrators, Mrs. Bradshaw, and you're about to meet our new assistant principal, have been working tirelessly all summer to get ready to have our kids back. And even if that's remotely, we're still going to get to see our kids, and that is what makes us happy. So I'm about to turn this over to Mrs. Bradshaw, who is going to explain to you what instruction and protocols will look like both in person and remotely. And so she will continue to ask or answer some of the questions that you have asked. And then we will also be looking at the Q&A and start answering some of those questions. And then we will also have a time at the end where we will answer some more questions as well. So, Ms. Bradshaw.
Good evening. Like Ms. Lee said, we are very excited to get this year started, learning new things every day. This Zoom is a little different for us. But the first thing I wanted to do was, for those of you who do not know, Dr. Snyder did take a job in Egypt. He is an assistant principal at an international school in Egypt. I've spoken with him. Him and his family have already gotten settled and toured some pyramids and having a great time. So really want to wish him well and hope that this is a wonderful experience for him. But I wanted to introduce you to our new assistant principal now, and she's going to say a few words. We were lucky to get Miss Nikki Haygood from White Settlement.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to let you know how excited I am to join the Millsap family. It's been so great to be a part of your campus so far. Like Kathy said, I'm coming from White Settlement ISD, where I taught for the last 7 years. And before that, I taught in my hometown, which is also a very small town. I'm really happy to get back to that environment and just very excited about the school year. Thanks, Kathy.
Okay, I am going to start, and I may answer a couple of things. It may be a little redundant, but what Ms. Lee said, but I wanted to make sure that I went over everything with you. I am going to share my screen so that you can see a document, and like Ms. Martin said, this is as close as we know everything today. We will be updating it, and this will be posted on our website. And I just want to start with Meet the Teacher. A lot of people have asked about that. We will be offering appointments for people that are new to Millsap ISD, that have never seen the building. We will be doing that by appointment so that we control the number of people in and the distancing. But we wanted to give those people new to Millsap ISD the opportunity to actually see the layout of the building and be able to visualize where their student will be. Returning students will receive an introductory video from their teacher. And you're probably wondering, well, how will they know who their teacher is? Well, next week, the beginning of the week, your teacher will be mailing a letter to your student along with a letter from us with a map of pickup, drop off, and frequently asked questions and information like that, as well as new phone numbers. We got a new phone system this summer. So there'll be a lot of information from the elementary itself. But your child will receive a letter with a QR code to the video from their teacher. And that is how we will do Meet the Teacher. First Day and Beyond, we know that the first day is special for everyone, but especially for those pre-K and kindergarten students, brand new, kind of nervous, probably parents as much as kids. But we are going to stagger that first day and second day, that's that Thursday and Friday that we start. Only those 2 days. We will ask pre-K and kinder students to come at 8:30. We will have them park in the north parking lot. That's the parking lot to the side of the building. The teachers will be spread out under the covered porches. Parents will be able to walk their students up to the teacher, take a picture if they would like, and say a brief word to the teacher. And there will be plenty of staff there helping those teachers watch all the students until every parent has had a chance to drop their child off with their child's teacher. Every morning beyond that, throughout the whole year, all of our staff will be reporting at 7:30 each morning. Teachers will be at the doorway of their classroom. All other auxiliary staff will be throughout the hallways helping students get to their classrooms, whatever they may need. We will be going straight to the classroom this year. We won't go in the gym, library, and some of the other places that we have previously. Everyone will be going straight to their classrooms. Miss Tina in our food nutritional department, they will be serving breakfast in the atrium also as like a grab and go. So students will be able to come in and get their breakfast and eat the breakfast in the classroom. So morning drop off, the bus will be the same entrance as it always has been. There will be someone on duty at the bus door letting students in and handing them some hand sanitizer as they come in. Morning drop off is still, some of the details are still being worked out, but we will be offering different entrances for different grade levels so that the arrival time is more spread out, and not the time, but the places will be more spread out. So each grade level will have their own particular doorway to enter, and that will all be in the letter you will receive next week. Again, before school, the campus leadership team, which is myself and Ms. Haygood and Ms. Anderson, Ms. Cecile, Ms. Sims, we will all be in the atrium. Other auxiliary staff will be scattered throughout the building, assisting students. Breakfast will be served. Students will need to be here by 7:50 to participate with the breakfast, and that's because our class does start at 8 o'clock, and so that they do have the opportunity to eat breakfast. Like I said, students will go straight to their classrooms and they can either eat breakfast or participate in warm-up activities. The classroom setup, I know a lot of you have had questions about that. We still want to provide a positive, nurturing learning environment. It will look a little different depending on the number of students we have doing remote learning. Will depend on the number of students in the classroom. If we have, if it's not always possible to have students 6 feet apart, but in all instances where we are putting desks, students will be at least 4 feet apart. As feasible, they will be spread out as much as possible. Some classrooms, such as the science labs, do have tables, and those tables will have plexiglass dividers separating the students into quadrants. We will still be able to have small group instruction, group activities, center activities, but they will be taking place with modifications as appropriate, using dividers and also using some online activities. Classroom supplies, they will have their individual supplies in their box or pouch, whatever the grade level preferred. They will not be sharing. If they will need their stuff, crayons, markers, or whatever in a different specials class, and they will take their own box to the specials class. All center and activity materials will be cleaned between uses with the Pure and Clean. I know that Clorox wipes are hard to find. They've been on our supply list every year, but this year is, kind of rare commodities. Don't worry about it. We will get them as we can get them, and we will be fine. Some people have asked about the remote learning versus on-site learning and the supply fee and when to pay that. You can pay your supply fee on the first day of in-person learning, and we will handle all of that. Recess. All students will receive recess each day. They will not have to wear face coverings at recess. They will wear face coverings to and from. In accordance with guidelines, they will be able to interact while maintaining the modified social distancing for extracurricular activities. We will spread them throughout the playground so as not to have a huge gathering of kids in any one place. But the grade level will have recess at the same time, but some kids may be on the basketball court, some kids on the playground equipment, some kids playing football on the grass or whatever, however that looks for each grade level. Teachers will be divided into zones for supervision, and every effort will be made to maintain those safety procedures. Specials, rotations. We are doing things a little bit differently this year so that teachers are allowed a little extra time each week to help prepare for both remote and on-site learning. All students will receive specials each day, whether it be in PE, music, or art. Additionally, 3 times a week, they will have an extra rotation where they will go see the guidance counselor with guidance class with Miss Anderson. They will have the STEM lab with Miss Northrup, and they will have library literacy with Miss Ellisor. So 3 days a week, they will have that additional rotation, but every day they will have PE, music, or art. Face coverings will not be required in PE during active participation, as students will be appropriately spaced, but they will be required to be worn to and from the gym. All specials rotations classes will share one Google Classroom so that students have access to all the rotation and specials teachers and can find their elective assignments all in one classroom. Face coverings will be required for all staff in the building. Face coverings will be required for students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. They will have times that the masks are not required, such as recess, specials, outdoor education, and teachers are very cognizant of looking for ways that they can take face breaks. As far as lunch goes, students will be seated 4 to a table. For those of you who know, our tables are split down the middle and face each other, but they do separate. So we will be separating those tables where they are spaced far enough apart, but they are 6-foot tables. And so there will be a student on each end of each one of them. And so they will be facing each other, but still be spaced appropriately apart. Depending on the numbers that we have of on-site learners, there will be 1 to 2 grade levels at a time in the cafeteria. The lunch supervisors, people on duty, they will wear face coverings and gloves at all times. Parents, if you can start teaching your kid how to open their own juice boxes and other items that can help us reduce adult hands on student food. That's a big deal over time to help, especially our littles, get everything opened. For the time being, until further notice, we will not be able to have guests or parents, as Ms. Lee stated, give us an opportunity to get into the routine and see what we can do and what we can't do. At the moment, looking at spacing tables for the elementary, the biggest reason is space considerations and not having enough room in the cafeteria. But as Ms. Lee said, as we get settled in and be able to look at where else might we be able to offer parents to have lunch. Tables will be cleaned and sanitized in between classes as they normally are. Hygiene, students will be taught proper hand washing procedures. Honestly, this is not new. We do this every year. The county extension has a person that usually comes out and has a fun activity with gloves and ink and teaches kids how to wash hands properly to get rid of germs. We will also be teaching them how to sneeze or cough safely, whether in their elbow or if they do use a tissue, that it goes immediately into the trash can. And at a minimum, we will be doing hand washing before and after lunch, recess, specials, any in and out. Our school sanitizing. Each classroom will have a designated cleaning station, which will just be, cleaning supplies, where as age appropriate students will know where they are. We will be encouraging students to clean their own area, again, as age appropriate, but they will know where all of their supplies are. All areas are going to be cleaned around the clock. Staff will be expected to clean their own area on a regular basis, especially at transition time, like going in and out of the room, recess, lunch, conference. Nurses station, the classrooms will be equipped with a basic first aid kit, and minor first aid will be administered in the classroom. Again, this is not new. Our teachers have had a first aid kit every year, and things such as a Band-Aid or small things like that will be handled in the classroom. And these criteria will be updated again by Ms. Lane, but as of now, face masks will be given to students in the nurse's office. They will be sent home with a fever over 100.4. And again, that is our normal operating procedure on any year. Ms. Anderson will be working. There has been a concern that if a student's out, that people may think, treat them differently. Ms. Anderson will be working with students to help ease those transitions and help students understand. Students and staff will be isolated with symptoms. And I know there's a question like, if I have allergies, I sometimes have those symptoms, and yes, the Ms. Lane is very aware of that and will be looking for symptoms that are not normal for that student. Dismissal details, we are still working on those also. Those will be dependent on the number of on-site learners that we have, and so that is still in the works, but will be sent to you next week with the parent letter. Visitors and guests to campus, obviously only one family at a time will be allowed in the foyer. We will not have adults pass the office foyer until further notice, except for staff and our special ed co-op necessary contractors. We will have some meetings such as ours that may need to be conducted in person, but every effort will be made to do them virtually. If it arises that we do need to do an in-person meeting, all adults will have face covering and will be asked to complete the health screener. And at times, just a parent conference with a teacher is needed. So feel free to keep in contact with your teacher when you need a conference, or if you need Nikki or I, we're available at any time, and we can call anytime or Zoom anytime that you may have a concern. So I'm going to stop that for just a minute, and I hope that answers some of the housekeeping, safety protocols, questions that you might have had. And then I am going to show you answer some of our teaching and learning back to school. Obviously, remote learning in the fall is going to be much different than it was in the spring. I think we did a good job of providing in the spring and working with under the situations that we had. But as Ms. Lee stated, our teachers have been receiving a lot of training this summer and have the time, a lot of planning time. And so the remote learning will be rigorous. It will be a mirror of our on-site learning, and grading guidelines will be the same. And so your students should see a seamless seamless transition when they do come back on site, or if they have to go remote. It will be seamless because they will be participating in the same educational experiences. We will use Google Classroom, and there will be a single sign-on, so that will be very helpful to parents and students alike. Our general goals are that grade levels work together to create highly qualified videos for all online and in person. Our homeroom teachers will facilitate meetings with their online students. Our goal is to have students who switch from online to in-person stay with their homeroom teacher. However, there may be some change depending on the number of students. And as Miss Lee said earlier, we will be sharing the responsibility some if there's numbers warranted in a grade level to have one whole class of remote learners, we could do that. In one grade level, they could share the responsibilities, and like let's say second grade, each teacher would have their homeroom class, but one may teach online math, one may teach online reading, one may teach science, one may teach social studies as far as the instructional video goes. But then when they actually meet with class, their homeroom teacher would be the one meeting with them and helping with them. Although we are social distancing, our goal is to continue to build those quality relationships with students and families, whether virtually or in person. One of the trainings we finished today gave us a lot of ideas and activities to get students remotely and in person engaged with each other. So we are excited about building those relationships. We do value the whole child. The well-being of each student, whether it's physically, emotionally, and academically, is of utmost importance to us. We will continue to monitor and meet our students' needs while creating a safe environment for them to thrive. Parent expectations, and these are just a few of the things that we were discussing. As Ms. Martin shared earlier, there will be a commitment form for parents and more detailed expectations on the commitment form. But a few of the things that we have thought about, parents sending their students to school will need to help make sure that the Chromebooks are charged each night and returned the following day. Students, even in-person learning, will be using Chromebooks and Google Classroom to submit assignments, so they will need Chromebooks daily, whether on-site or remote. They will be asked to complete a weekly health screener for each child for on-site learning. Remotely, there will be a virtual learning parent meeting to help monitor your child's time spent in virtual learning, ensuring that they're completing their assignments and participating in their daily lessons. We will ask parents to keep students home if they're exhibiting symptoms or running a fever. Remote online learning, parents will be asked to help monitor their coursework for their student, to help reinforce communication between the student and their teachers, make sure your child is keeping in communication, and to help the student take ownership of their own learning as age appropriate. Let students be responsible for that. Student expectations. I'm going to go on site real quick. Not coming to school if you have symptoms, abide by all safety precautions, take your Chromebook home each night and bring it back charged and ready. Charge your Chromebook each night. You may think that's redundant, but that's a really important thing, that Chromebooks come back every day charged. We will have some chargers in the classroom, but if teachers go to use Chromebooks at 8 o'clock in the morning and half of them aren't charged, then it's going to be difficult to proceed with the lesson. So that is a very important thing for on-site learners. Remotely, follow your designated schedule for your virtual meetings, and those will be made available next week in the parent letter. Dedicate time each day to your virtual learning, whether you're online participating with a teacher in activities, or is just watching your instructional videos, giving your input, putting your feedback, completing assignments. Just dedicate a time to get those done each day. Completed daily work, your attendance will be based on completing work each day. Participate in the online learning activities. Practice proper conduct while using virtual platforms. Engage in consistent two-way communication with the teacher. To try your best, communicate, and stay positive, and to take care of your Chromebook. Excuse me. Teachers and staff expectations. I'm sorry. Teachers and staff will be expected to provide engaging interactive lessons for all students. They will provide for remote learners, provide a specific time during the day for virtual classroom and for Zoom online help. They'll take attendance daily for both, respond to parent communication within 24 hours for both. Teachers will contact parents, will contact parents if a student misses 2 consecutive days of instruction, whether that's on-site or remote. We don't want students getting behind and feeling overwhelmed, so we will do all that we can do to help them stay current with their assignments. They will collaborate with their team weekly so that kids are getting the aligned curriculum. Follow Millsap ISD guidelines, provide all necessary accommodations for students, whether they have 504, ESL, GT, special education. And if a student's plan needs to be significantly adjusted, there will be a call to the parent to see about either holding an ARD or making an amendment. But we will be monitoring and adjusting kids closely. As Ms. Lee said, there's I believe it was Ms. Martin said there is a whole Q&A on attendance on the website where they offer the help session for parents. And just a little bit of additional information. Our teachers school-wide will be using Class Dojo this year as a communication tool. I know in past years, teachers have used Dojo or Seesaw or Remind or Class Tag. And so we've streamlined that to where the whole school will be using Class Dojo. So be looking for those sign-on criteria to get to your child's teacher. And then each student will have a single sign-on. We will not have paper packets this year. All work will be assigned and returned digitally. And teachers will be able to show students how to submit their assignments digitally. And someone asked, so we won't do anything paper. Well, you will do things paper pencil. I'm a former math teacher, so I know you'll be practicing some math on paper, but teachers will be showing students how to submit those assignments digitally and can also show online students how to submit those digitally. So that is a little bit in a nutshell about our plan to get school off and started. And I hope that I have answered a lot of your questions. I know that, our utmost goal is for the safety of students and the just the joy of learning, and we want to help them thrive and make the best out of any situation that we can.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bradshaw. And parents, I hope that helped you. And I have been answering questions as quickly as I can. And I know Ms. Martin has been answering some of those as well. Ms. Bradshaw, if you'll come back on, and what we'll do is, because some of these are specific to the elementary, so let's say, for instance, the really young children or the ones with perhaps special needs that might, be uncomfortable. So I think you explained something about the first day or towards the beginning of the school about helping the students whether meet their teacher or being comfortable. Can you explain a little bit how that might work?
Yes, and I have had the question about some of our special needs population. We have not, I have not had the opportunity to sit with our special ed department yet. We will be doing that this week, and we will be making some plans to have those smooth transitions and be working, on a case-by-case basis with those parents.
Okay, thank you. And then will there be enough desks and chairs for each student in pre-K and kinder, since we are not doing group seating at large tables, or what will be the accommodations?
Yes, actually the kinder teachers have opted to do lap desk with yoga mats. I wish I had a picture to show you. They have opted to use the lap desk with yoga mats. It's each student will have their own spot, socially distanced, but they will be able to not be confined to sitting in a desk all day long. During reading time, they could lay down on their yoga mat and read if they would like. Pre-K is going to be doing something similar to that. They are still working on their classrooms, but they will have desk if we do have the desk if they want them, but I think all the kinder teachers are opting for the flexible lap desk and mats.
Okay, and so in classes with the plexiglass separation, will the children be required to keep a face covering on? So I mentioned this one earlier in a different kind of way. So we have asked TEA several times whether this is allowable or not, and they say they're looking at the governor's orders, because if you read the governor's orders explicitly, it says, masks are required when there's not 6 feet or, another means of physical distancing. So that was submitted to TEA, but it was the commissioner who said that was not his interpretation inside a public building. So they are supposed to be getting clarification from the governor on that. And so certainly if that is allowable, then we will do that. So we are seeking clarification on that. Is there a number you have in mind of positive cases and after which the school will shut down? I believe Brock says 15. So that is a very good question, and we don't have a predetermined number. So the Parker County superintendents have a weekly call with the county judge and the county health authority, and that is Dr. Welch. And it happens to be that because of our partnership with the county medical hospital district and the med pods that we have, Dr. Welch is actually our doctor. They're also in the process of trying to hire another doctor as well. And so in coordination with them, they would help us to determine when that might be. If you've looked at the back to school plan, we have a little chart, and it shows like yellow, orange, red. And so when we are at different levels, then we would be able to ease some of the protocols. So let's say that cases start to go down and there's plenty of hospital beds available and that kind of thing, then we could ease up on some of the protocols as the governor's orders and TEA allows. But as far as determining an exact number, that would be difficult to say, because let's say that it was isolated to one classroom, then we might be able to just have that classroom quarantined. Or if it was a grade level, or even if it was one whole school, but it might not affect the other schools. So there's not really a predetermined number. And, really what might shut the school down and cause everyone, to go remote more quickly than positive cases would be teachers having to quarantine. And so that's another reason why it's going to be so important for staff wearing their face coverings, because, we have staff, as Ms. Bradshaw described, sharing responsibilities. But if you have very many staff members who are quarantined, even if they can work from home, we still obviously need an adult in the classroom with the children. And so at some point, might there be a tipping point that we're not able to do that. So again, we work with our county health officials on determining that, but we will be trying to keep kids in school as much as we possibly can. How does social emotional learning take place in a masked and distanced classroom? So one of the things that the amazing Mrs. Dene Anderson, she already is, we have been talking about a program and plans and discussions that that the counselors and of course the entire staff will be having with the kids. Again, it's one of the reasons though why I think a face shield is a great choice, because this is the one that I use with my little Millsap sticker, and you can still see expressions and smiles and all of that. And so at least for me, that has been a great choice, so I can still see people's expressions and they can see mine. And we do have one of these for every single child who would like one. But other than that, it's something that we will certainly be talking about and addressing at school, because we know this is a difficult time for everybody. I mean, we as adults miss seeing each other and being able to hug and those kinds of things. And so we absolutely recognize that social emotional is, matter of fact, I told the counselors the other day, for me, that is our first priority. Yes, the academics are important, but first and foremost is the mental and social wellness for our kids. So we're going to be doing everything that we possibly can. If a teacher or student is COVID positive, will the entire class be made to quarantine? So that would depend on the close contact. Now, I'll say especially depending on the grade level, obviously it's going to be a little more difficult the younger the student for social distancing. We've all probably been around pre-K kids and kindergarten kids, and it's very difficult for them to keep a distance. And then of course most of them won't be wearing a face covering. That's their choice if their parents choose for them to, but most won't be. So if there were a case in one of the younger classrooms, then it would probably be very likely that they would all have to quarantine. I mean, that's not an absolute, but on each case, it would just determine who had been in close contact. Close contact is defined as within 6 feet for over 15 minutes cumulatively. And then you factor in other things as well, such as, did both parties have on face coverings that were fitted appropriately, or was there ventilation? Were they outside? Were they inside? There's lots of different things like that you determine. So again, that is when our county health officials will be working with us to help us determine who was actually in close contact. Now, again, the entire school would be notified, but then those who would be in close contact would be notified individually and let them know that they would need to be quarantined. Let's see. So if a school can determine decisions beyond the governor's rules, you aren't actually following the law, as the age requirement for a mask is age 10 and above. This is misleading. And again, that is a very good question, because the governor's orders and TEA do allow for a school district to go above and beyond the governor's orders. And we have talked several times, including Ms. Bradshaw has sent a letter to the third grade parents. And I've talked about in my updates as well that the determination for this, because it's the intermediate hall and we have students turning 10 in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade, that it would be very difficult for all of the staff involved in the learning with those students all day long to know who's 10 and who isn't. And so that is allowable under law. Actually, there are many school districts who are requiring masks for all of their students. And so some of them refer to it as universal masking. And so certainly we're not doing that. And again, as soon as it's optional for all students, then, you know, we will follow those governor's orders with that and make it optional for everyone. Does the list have what they need if we want to get their stuff and not pay the supply fee? Can you answer that, Ms. Bradshaw?
I can definitely get you the list per grade level. If you email me at cbradshaw@millsapisd.net, or when you get your letter, it will have your teacher information on there. You can also email the teacher and they can get that to you for the appropriate grade level.
I love this question. Is volunteering allowed? It seems like community help is going to be very beneficial, and I would love to know more about this. And we would love your help. What we would have to do is, of course, anyone who volunteers, and this is anytime, not even just during COVID, there is a process that, depending on what the volunteer would do, would determine whether fingerprints were needed or a background check or that kind of thing. Of course, right now, anyone entering the building has a screener to do. So of course that would be required. But I would say right now, we would have to wait till school starts and determine what the needs might be. And then once that's determined, then we could put something out. And I know, you know, Ms. Bradshaw asks for help often for different things. We could let y'all know what those needs are and see who might be able to fulfill those needs. Certainly it probably wouldn't be just a mass, hey, anybody who'd like to help show up, because we know y'all and how awesome you are, and we'd have 100 people show up, which would be great. So we are definitely hoping to be able, you know, to allow some volunteering, because you're right, it would be very beneficial for us. So that's something that we will be working on, looking more into.
And we, Ms. Lee.
Yes, ma'am.
We have, as a school, looked at the sign up genius for a school as a whole that we will be utilizing when we are allowed to have volunteers, but also there will be some things that can be worked on from your home. So we will be putting things like that out there if a teacher needs something done that maybe you could help them do at home. So we will be sending that information out as soon as we get all of our sign-ins up.
Great, thank you. Okay, Ms. Bradshaw, I think this is for you. How much of a student's daily work will be electronic? And I'm not sure if they mean if they're remote or if they're at school.
Yeah, that would kind of depend. It's not that the work would be electronic. It's like I explained to one parent, we wouldn't expect a child to come sit at school and stare at the teacher for 6 hours. We're not going to expect that of the computer either. But they will get the lesson, whether it be remote learners will have a video lesson. They'll get the assignment where they'll be able to do independent practice on. And then they will be submitting that electronically. Even in-person learners will be submitting their work electronically. But there will be interaction through the discussions and activities in the classroom for on-site learners, or through the virtual meetings with the teachers and the activities virtually with their teachers. But just when they're on with their teachers doesn't mean it's just going to be a working verbally. It will be a lesson, it will be academic, but it could be a group activity, it could be we saw all kinds of interactive games that are TEKS-based and academic in nature, but they would be done through Zoom.
Okay, and can they use their own Chromebooks if they have them instead of bringing a school one home? And I'm not sure if, I mean, Mr.
I was
Breeze.
gonna say, if you'd like me to jump in on that one. So we do push out quite a few apps to our district Chromebooks that students use in class with their teachers. The majority of a student's work could be done if they have their own Chromebook or if you have another device at home. But every now and then there are specific things that we use with those specific apps, some of our map testing and other things that have to be used with that district Chromebook. So we ask that the students have access to that and be able to utilize that on a daily basis.
Great. To me, as a parent, it is hard to see that the district is thinking about the whole student like what was previously said. Our children need their school back, and by that, I mean school being as normal as possible. I understand that they can remotely learn, but how is that good for their mental health? Many doctors are telling parents that masks are not good for anyone to be wearing, but kids specifically. If that's the case, how can you say that you're thinking about the whole child? We love Millsap, and honestly, a lot of parents expected more from our little and loving district. So we, as I said, are following TEA and governor's orders. And, it is always your choice where you choose to go to school. And I don't know how to be any more sincere than I have been and how I can be any more transparent than I have been. This will begin my 5th year as superintendent, and every year I have spilled my heart to y'all how much I love our children, and every single day I search my soul to make the absolute best decisions that I can. And we have to keep in mind so many different factors. We have tried to be honest. We have tried to be transparent. We have tried to give you updates, provide communication. We have involved more parents than any other school district that I know of, even larger ones. And I know some of you don't think that, but it is the truth. We have involved many, many parents. And, even some of these questions here, some of you are submitting anonymously, and yet here I am answering them, and I will answer them. That's why we're here. We are trying our best to be partners in this together. And I won't shy away from your difficult questions because we do care about your kids and we do want to be partners, but we will follow the law. And until that changes, then that's where we are. And I'm sorry if you cannot understand that, but that is the decision that we have reached as a school district. The only decision that we have made as a school district beyond the governor's orders is for 3rd grade. And that is because, as I've explained several times, that 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are all in the same hall and in the same classroom. They're turning 10 at different times. And yes, their teacher knows which ones are 10 and not, but in a school building of 500 kids, in that hallway alone, there are about 200 kids, and there's lots of different staff that work with those students. And the second that the governor's order changes and says that masks are optional, they are going to be optional for everybody. And so that definitely would be your choice. So I really can't say more than that. We are doing our best. And I can tell you that I do rest in that, and I search my soul every day that are we sure we're making the best decision? And that's really all that I can say. If our child starts as on-campus learning and we decide that it is more hindering to them Do we have to wait the entire 6 weeks to change to virtual learning? So we have indicated that the choice is for 6 weeks, and we need to keep with that if at all possible. However, obviously, if you feel like that there is, something that is, harming or hindering your child, then absolutely we can have that conversation and, see what we might can do and what we can adjust. We certainly wouldn't want, wouldn't want there to be anything holding back the learning of your child. Are parents allowed to come in with their child on the first day of school? I think you mentioned that. I'm not sure, Ms. Bradshaw.
Parents will not be coming into the building, but pre-K and kinder, we will be having a place outside for them to meet their teacher.
Okay. Third graders are on a new hall. Will they be met with teachers showing them where to go on the first day since we're not able to come in? And how does their first day look?
They will be helped to their room. I'm not sure about how the question about how their first day will look. I
guess what would a typical day on the first day of school look like for the third graders?
It will be just any other day. First day of school, there will be a lot of getting to know you activities and a lot of rules and procedures activities, just like we do every year. And they will be introduced to what will be expected of them in third grade. But mainly it will be a lot of getting to know you activities, a lot of, like I said, the rules and procedures, but also just reconnecting. They have had a very extended summer, so just reconnecting time and some of those class building activities.
If the student or adult is quarantined because of close contact, will they be required to be tested prior to returning to school? So there's basically 3 different things that can happen in a quarantine. And one is, of course, to fulfill the 14 days. One is to have a negative test. And one is to have a doctor's note saying that it's something else. So like, let's say you have a fever because of some type of infection and then you get antibiotics. So, obviously your doctor would have that note that it was a sinus infection or a, strep or something. And so after a certain time period, then the student or adult would be allowed back. Or as I said, a negative COVID test or the 14 days. So there's kind of some options there for the return to school. But that's also where I was talking about that the nurses will be working very closely with those who are quarantined to let them know when they can return to school. I might have missed it, but will a note be sent out about how the first day will go for all grade levels?
Yes.
So that note will be coming, I think you said next week?
With the teacher, yes, with the teacher letter.
Will 6 feet distance be heavily enforced at recess? Will they be told to stay apart? Whoa, that one went away. There was another part to it, but it disappeared. I don't know what happened. I think we had talked about, obviously, especially depending on the age of the child, it very likely will be impossible for them to, every second be everybody at 6 feet. We're obviously encouraging that, but, they will be playing together. All summer long, we have had the edge where we've had the athletes here. Today, I was at football practice. I was at volleyball practice. I've been at middle school cheer camp. And really, if you didn't know it was in these COVID times, you wouldn't know it. They are having fun. They're enjoying themselves. They're active. They're interacting. They're laughing. So I think you'll be quite surprised to see how adaptive the kids are. I'm wanting to know how much screen time my in-person learning child will have. At home, we limit screen time and he wears blue light blocker glasses. Should I send these to school with him?
That would be perfectly fine with us. I can't right off tell you how much screen time will be involved, and it would vary day to day, depending on the lesson. But as Ms. Martin stated earlier, there will be a weekly schedule put out the week before, showing kind of the outline for the week. And so they would know ahead of time, but sending the glasses would be great.
And Ms. Bradshaw, please correct me if I misstate this, but I mean, pretty much at school, the learning won't look a lot different than it has in the past, right? I mean, there'll be physical distancing and some of their protocols, but as far as how the learning takes place, really, that's not going to be much different, right?
Correct. Other than the assignments, when they do an assignment, will be submitted digitally. But like I said, there will be times they'll be doing that on paper and pencil just like normal. It will just be submitted digitally.
I hear that shields alone are not the safest option. Can we look into this further? So interestingly, the commissioner did spend quite a bit of time today on today's commissioner's call about this. And so they did reiterate that, yes, it is the safest option to wear both a mask and a shield, but that it was not required. Now, especially for the teachers, and this kind of goes with another question that someone is asking about, are the elementary teachers being encouraged to wear shields so that the children can see their mouths and expressions and so forth? And so the answer to that is yes. And actually many of the teachers are choosing shields because, you can see and hear and so forth. But also that's why that we will, as much as possible, we're encouraging that 6 feet of distance. Now, that's hard for teachers and especially elementary teachers. And so that's something that we'll, we're going to have to work on how to do that because as you're asking about, are shields the safest option? A shield alone isn't, but if you couple a shield with distance, then yes. And so perhaps it could be when the teacher is actually instructing, then they might have on the shield and have the distance, but whenever they're closer, they could also wear the mask. So there's a variety of options. We also talked about the gaiters. A lot of people are choosing those because it's kind of like a scarf. You just wear it around your neck and then you can pull it up. So some are wearing those with their shields. So those are two things that we're looking at as well. Will all teachers meet students outside of all ages or just the littles?
Just the littles on that first day. And to be spread out, we would not have the room to spread out for every teacher to be out.
Will they have a map and room number to find their teachers?
There will be plenty of staff in the hallway to help them.
I was gonna say, because actually the staff will be meeting the kids and taking them for the most part, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Is the district going to reimburse parents for having to visit the doctor so often with the unnecessary sick time? So that is one of the awesome things about our partnership with the Parker County Hospital District. Because of the med pods, it would not be necessary for your child to even leave campus. We have that connection. There is a doctor there. So as I said, currently it's Dr. Welch. They're looking to hire even another doctor as well. So what happens though is the nurse, and again, this is by your choice, but if you choose for the nurse too, you maybe have been to the doctor where they have the little med pod. It's like a computer on a roller, and they actually connect with the doctor right there with your permission. They connect with the doctor right there, and it is literally like a doctor's visit right there. And so, the parent is contacted, and if permission is granted, then we do that. I mean, you can even be on the phone, you can FaceTime. The new nurse that we got this year, our new head nurse, actually did this in her prior school district. And so she said, you can actually have the parent on the phone, FaceTiming, talking to the doctor all at the same time. So really it's up to your comfort level, what you would choose to do. Do we need to be concerned about students being behind from the spring shutdown? So I'll answer a little bit of this, and I don't know if Mrs. Bradshaw or Mrs. Martin wants to join in on this, but one of the things we'll be doing at the beginning of the year is determining where students currently are because of the spring. And we know that our teachers did an amazing job, but it's not a secret to anybody. It wasn't regular school. And so we will be determining if there is a lag. And then we also, some of the training that the teachers received this summer were on the power standards. And so those are the things that have been determined to be most important for the kids. And so, those will be taught first. So do one of y'all want to add to that?
Well, and additionally, we do utilize the Teach Resource System, which they have been very proactive of looking at the last 6 weeks TEKS from the previous grade level and spiraling those in through the first 6 weeks of the next grade level, so that what students missed in the spring will be picked up this first 6 weeks, spiraled in with the new learning. Also, as you stated, they will be assessed to see where they're at, and as any other year, students will be taken where they're at and moved on.
So, Ms. Bradshaw, there was another question that connects to that about how will you ensure individual student needs are met? And I think your schedule accommodates for that. Talk to us about that, please.
As far as the actual, we will be assessing where students are at. Every year we've had dog time, which is daily opportunities of growth. We will continue to have that this year. Each grade level will have a dog time. It will be a little more structured this year, but it not only helps those students that are behind, but it takes those students that may be a little ahead or need a challenge, and they'll be given activities to even challenge them to go further. But those students that may need some extra help on any given day will be given that extra help daily to help them get up to where they need to be. So every grade level will have a designated dog time.
Okay. Did you want to add anything, Ms. Martin? I saw you pop back up there.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted, Ms. Bradshaw, there's a couple of questions, 2 or 3, about PE and music and how grades in those courses may work.
How grades in those courses will work? All the specials will share a Google Classroom. And so there will be an assignment in the Google Classroom each week for the various activities. As you know, PE, music, and art don't receive a letter grade. They receive, well, they do receive a letter grade, but it's based on participation. So it will be through the Google Classroom shared by specials where they will actually participate in the online activities.
Okay. Okay, I know we're getting a note from teachers. I'm assuming that the first grade and up will be directed to where the classroom is. I know my child will be scared. And I think we said that, yes, staff will be meeting the kids and taking them to the classrooms. What about, whoops, boy, these jump around. Okay, what about a student sneezing or coughing with a shield on We do not worry about people being able to see the splatter. So one of the things we'll be actually doing at the beginning of the school is teaching the kids and talking to the kids about protocols and things such as, let's say even washing their hands properly and so forth. And so let's say that a student did sneeze on their shield, then, we would be teaching them, showing them how to wash that off and clean it off and some of those protocols. It's same thing. We'll be teaching them how to, let's say it's one of the littles and they don't have a face covering on and they're going to sneeze or cough. And so, we teach them to, you either sneeze in your elbow or you get a Kleenex and then you throw that away immediately and then go wash your hands. So those are all some of the things that we'll be teaching the kids and working with them on. And same thing with staff as well. I mean, we'll be discussing those protocols and things with staff too.
And as I said, each classroom will have a designated sanitation area with supplies for them. And all primary classrooms have an actual sink in the classroom.
Right. If I heard right, there was mention about different grade levels entering through different entrances. Will there be something sent home to tell us how that will work? I have 4 kids going to be in elementary this year, and I completely understand doing this to keep groups entering more staggered, to keep distance. But what about those of us with multiple kids in different grades? I feel like it is going to be hectic and stressful as a parent and also children. So how will that work?
There will be a letter with a map sent home on that very first day. And if you, on a case-by-case basis, if you have 4 children in the elementary, just contact us and we'll figure out the best solution for you.
And I know that's one of the things that Ms. Bradshaw does so well. She always figures it out somehow. I assume all students will have a Chromebook. Will a hotspot be provided for remote learning? And then, so I don't know, Mr. Breeze, if you want to hop on for that one, but then the second part of that question, Mrs. Bradshaw, have you decided about kindergarten graduation? All right, Mr. Breeze, you want to answer that first part?
So yes, as far as our Chromebooks, all of our students, including our youngest students, will be issued a Chromebook. There was another question about will kindergartners receive a Chromebook. We actually last year purchased Chromebooks to provide for kinder and first grade. We were working with our amazing kindergarten and first grade teachers starting in January. We did a 1-month plan of how to roll them out in their class where the teachers were learning a lot of different things because we know not all of their learning will be on the Chromebooks, but they'll be a great resource for them. Our plan was to deliver those Chromebooks to the kindergarten and first grade classes on March 13th. And that didn't really work out as planned. So we do have those Chromebooks ready to check out to kindergartners and first graders. We've also ordered Chromebooks for our pre-K students. The inventory for all devices during COVID is very difficult. It's been difficult to acquire different things, but we believe that those devices will be in by the first day of school. As far as the hotspots go, we checked out hotspots to those that needed them in the spring, and they worked very well. There were a small number of people that couldn't utilize the hotspot. The hotspots run off of a Verizon signal, and so there were some folks that didn't get a Verizon signal at their house. As a result, this summer, we've worked on purchasing a few hotspots using another carrier so that we can kind of diversify, and if one doesn't work, we'll try the other one so that we can make sure to provide as much as we can for everyone.
Also, I have purchased, I thought I had an example here, but I don't. We have purchased, it looks like a bank bag, but they are, I think they're 9 by 13. A Chromebook fits nicely in it. They can even put a folder. They will have a maroon folder, communication folder. So all that will go into the bag to help protect the Chromebook going back and forth every day. And obviously that bag can also fit into the backpack.
And kindergarten graduation?
Yes, you will be receiving an invitation for kindergarten graduation this week. We will get that out. There were pleasantly surprised there were enough participants interested in participating. So we will get that organized and get that information out to you through an invitation list.
Yay, we're very excited about that. And I don't know if any of you were at high school graduation, but it was the most amazing night, and it included protocols and masks and distancing and all of that. And it was one of the most beautiful nights I've ever been a part of. So I'm very excited about kindergarten graduation. I'm trying to see what we haven't answered. Okay, if kids are behind in learning, will there be help for them? And if so, how will it be handled? So we talked about that a little bit a minute ago, that we'll be assessing at the beginning of the year to see where kids are. And then the various ways that Ms. Martin and Ms. Bradshaw talked about addressing that, but absolutely, yes. Okay, will lockers be used?
Yes, we will be utilizing our lockers. However, students will go straight to class, and then teachers will be releasing a few students at a time to go to their lockers to prevent the big gang pile up at the lockers. So we will be utilizing the lockers, but they will be monitored.
Okay. How will you ensure that students and parents are following good hygiene and washing said fabric mask, especially when they return from a positive? These kids are going to touch their masks. It's inevitable. So this is where the partnering becomes very important. We can control what we can control here at school. But parents control what will be happening in their home. We will be providing training for students and for parents, and Miss Martin talked about some of that, and we're going to have things on the website that will talk about proper hygiene and cleaning and things like that as well. So we are doing our best to be able to provide the how to do some of these things, but ultimately whether a parent chooses to do that in their own home, we don't have control over that. But certainly the protocols that we have control over at school, we will be taking care of. And then we do have disposable masks as well. Besides, as I mentioned, everyone will be getting one of the reusable and washable. And then we'll have the face shields, which can be washed, and we'll have others of too. But then we'll also have disposable ones as well. The kids wearing any shield or any mask, or we need specific mask. There is not a specific type, and as long as it's not, inappropriate as far as something inappropriate written on it, there can be prints, it can be personalized. I've seen some really neat, cute things, and shields could be decorated, and of course the caps that we've talked about. So there's really not any specific type. It just all of the TEA guidance refers to face coverings. Has there been any updates to the annual 5th grade Camp Grady Spruce? So at this time, we do not have any information about if and when any type of field trips will be allowed at this time. So I guess as of today, no, it wouldn't take place, at least not in the fall like it usually does. Now, what we are checking into is, would they allow us to possibly postpone until maybe the spring? And so if we're allowed to do that in the spring. With the lunch cards, how are the younger kids going to keep up with them?
We've had the lunch cards before. They also have had lanyards with their lunch card on there. They wear them to lunch, scan their card, and then their teacher collects the lanyards so that the kids aren't keeping up with the lanyards.
Because they've been using those even in pre-K already, right?
Right.
Kinder specifically, will they only be met out front the first 2 days of school or all days?
Just the first 2. Kids will get in a routine very quickly, but like I said, you will see there will be plenty of staff throughout the building to help the students come through.
So how will the face rest look? I can't remember if you've covered this. Besides the students not wearing face coverings during physical activity, when else, and is there an allotted time for that per day? So of course, anytime, you know, they're eating, if they're at music class, you know, singing, you know, of course it wouldn't apply here as much, but like in a band class. And then we're coming up with the teachers with creative ways of periodically during the day being able to do this, whether that be, like we said, if the weather's comfortable, going outside and having a break, if it's, of course, their recess, like Ms. Bradshaw talked about, and other things. So, you know, those are our ideas that we're still coming up with about exactly how to do that, but we are determined and committed that there will definitely be breaks throughout the day. See, why does this? Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, you know, and outside of lunch times, we can always utilize the cafeteria where kids can be spread very far apart and be able to have a 5-minute break or so without the mask.
Why does it sound like there is excessive use of devices for elementary school children? We are selecting in-person teaching for the lack of device use. So if you could touch back on that again, we talked about it a minute ago. So it may be a misunderstanding or we're not communicating well, but actually at school, most of the learning and how it's done will look pretty much like it always has. And I can tell you, I spend a lot of time going into the classrooms, and you know, even the littles in the past, you know, they've used the iPads and so forth, and some of their programs, or they have their computer time. So I'm not envisioning that will be significantly different. But you know, Ms. Bradshaw, if you can address that.
Correct. In-person learning will be practically will not know a difference. There will, however, be times where through some of the trainings we've been receiving, there have been where you can do a whole group activity with on-site and remote learners. And so there may be a time where all the students are on the device at once when interacting with each other. But those will be few and far between activities, and your child in-person learning won't be on the device any more than they typically would be in a normal, I won't say normal, but typically in any other year. But that we will be teaching them how to submit assignments through Google Classroom. And that's obviously as age appropriate.
And I was just going to add to what Ms. Bradshaw was saying. We want students to be able to transition to online learning easily. So if for some reason they do have to quarantine, or we do have a shutdown for the state or something like that, that they can just seamlessly move to online learning. So it's not like we want our students to constantly be on their device, but we are going to utilize them to enhance the rigor, enhance the learning, and also so that it is a seamless transition. We want to teach them those things. So then when they go home and they're learning, they already know how to submit things, and it makes it easier for you guys as well.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And then as Ms. Bradshaw said, you know, of course, age appropriate. Can they bring their own breakfast?
Yes.
Will each student have their own locker? I know last year some had to share.
That will depend on numbers again.
So how will that work if they have to share?
Well, we will have to have alternative options. You know, like we have the cart for some grade levels. We might have to make additional places. But we do not have, if we have 500 students on site, we do not have 500 lockers. And so in a typical year, some do share. But we will we will figure that out. And
because obviously, we'll have some learning remotely, so there probably won't be the 500. I also know last year when for a period of time in the pre-K room, we purchased some little portable cubbies that were on like a cart. And so we likely could do that too, if we needed to.
Right.
Are masks required for cheer practice, etc.? Do you know what your plan for football games will be? So cheer practice isn't a school activity, so I can't answer that. At least if you're talking about elementary, then you're probably talking about MYA. And so MYA, at least if it's on the school grounds outside, then it would follow the same protocols. And so, for instance, today during the middle school practice, again, while they're actually involved in the physical activity, then the mask is down, but then whenever they're just standing or listening, then the mask is on. There was a second part of that question, but it disappeared. Did you happen to see? I didn't catch the second part of that question.
They were wondering if we had plans for football games.
Oh, for football games. Okay, so actually we are in the midst of that as well. Coach Johnson and I attended when we say a district-wide, when we're referring to football, it's all of the teams that we play, that we compete against. And so what will happen is, so UIL has determined that there would be a 50% capacity of the stadium. And so a company will help us determine exactly what 50% capacity is. And then, of course, players would get a certain amount of tickets. And then if there's any tickets left, then those would be available to the public. And so we actually, right before this meeting, I was discussing with one of the coaches how the ticket sales would work. So we are working out the details of that plan, and we will get that information to you. And Coach Johnson actually will be making, a video or something to get that information out. Will we pick up Chromebooks prior to the first day of school? Mr. Breeze, I think that's you.
So we are right now finalizing our plan for Chromebook distribution. For our in-person learners, they will be getting it very, very early on the first or second day of school. But we will have a plan for our at-home learners to be able to collect theirs the week before school begins, because we don't want them to miss any days. So we want them to be ready to go the Monday. I'm sorry, school doesn't start out on Monday. On Thursday, the first day of school, we want them to be ready to go. So there will be a plan communicated out for the at-home learners, but the in-person learners, we will check those out at school.
And that's another reason why that commitment form is so important, because that way we will know who the at-home learners are, and that we'll need to get a Chromebook and other things to them before school starts. How will breakfast go in the morning if kids are supposed to go straight to class and the teacher has their cards? Ms. Bradshaw?
And the teacher has their card.
I think we were talking about like the lunch cards, how they get swiped at lunch, but breakfast, you talked about there would be grab and go. So does everyone get one?
They will have their portable computer out there, and the staff person will put in the information.
Okay, gotcha. Will you be implementing snack time for all grades to allow more face breaks? Don't they already have snack time?
Only the younger grades.
Because I know sometimes when I go in, they're having a little snack, as long as it's smart snack approved, that little term.
On occasion, but typically it's only the younger grades that have a scheduled snack time.
Oh, a scheduled, okay, all right. Can additional ARD meeting be requested for a special needs child to discuss their year, since things have changed so much since our annual ARD? So please correct me if this is wrong, but we were actually at the Parker County Co-op just yesterday and discussing this. And I do believe they're planning on ARDS with pretty much all the kids to talk about some of these changes, and then also to have a contingency at-home learning plan just in case there is a closure or if a student has to be quarantined or something like that. So if I understand correctly, all students are going to be revisited for the most part. Isn't that correct?
So I think that is something that we're still working on. However, definitely if you're a remote learner, yes. And if you would like an ARD or feel like your student needs one, please do request it, because we certainly want to honor that.
Absolutely.
I'm not 100% sure that every student will receive one, but we are working on that detail now.
Certainly anyone who requests one. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Because a parent, even in non-COVID times, you can request an ARD anytime you would like.
Right. Can you share the percentage of elementary students who are likely to be in class and remote based on your survey? I know that the district-wide, do you know specifically, Ms. Martin, just elementary, didn't it follow pretty much along with the district-wide number?
Yes, ma'am, it did. It was approximately 30% at each of the campuses.
But that was with about 50% of families turning in a survey. And the deal is that sometimes like one family might have 4 students. And so that would really skew that percentage. So, you know, we're not real sure, but with the 50% who turned one in, then 30% of those. So that's another reason why we need to do the commitment form to know exactly which students will be remote and which will be at home, so we can make those plans. If we do utilize the remote learning, will the school be able to provide or have physical game books, et cetera, that the child can check out? I'm not sure about a game book, but just any materials in general, certainly we're going to provide, you know, anything a student would need. Do you know specifically what they're talking about, a physical game book?
A game book? No.
Okay, not sure, but
a textbook or
whatever a student would need, we'll certainly provide that. Will the kids' distance learning still be able to get lunch for those families that depend on that? That is a great question, and I apologize we didn't address that. So remote learners who are free and reduced lunch will still have a meal provided. We will not be able to deliver like we did in the spring, because of course in the spring we didn't have in school learning, and so we had more personnel who could deliver, but we will have a drive-by and pickup for those on free and reduced. Will students be utilizing the library?
Yes, once a week they will be going through a class with Miss Ellisor.
All right.
And Ms. Lee?
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, the remote learners, everyone has access to a digital library as well. So students can actually check out books even online, even if they're not here physically with us, or if they are and they prefer an online book.
Mr. Breeze, I think this is a question for you. We only have one internet provider available where we live, and it is horribly slow. Last year, it was so slow, our 6-year-old could not get online. Because we live in a metal house, hotspots are not an option. If the school has to shut down, how will my child learn if internet is not an option and there is not the paper packets?
Well, if there is, and we will attempt every opportunity we can to try to help remedy that. But if there is no opportunity to get internet where you are, then we have some alternate solutions that we're still fine tuning. It still involves getting videos of instruction from the teachers. That was one thing that we felt was very important, was the students who are learning remotely still need to be able to see their teachers speak, see the lessons that the teachers are creating. And so we would be delivering those in an offline format, like a flash drive, that the student could then access digital materials using their Chromebook offline. And we've got lots of tutorials on how to use offline tools with their Chromebooks, and as well as we also have the local hotspot in our high school parking lot that's available for all students, where you can come up and use the Wi-Fi. You just can park in the student parking lot there adjacent to the football field, between the football field and the high school. And the students can connect to the district Wi-Fi there if they need access. Now, we don't want students going and sitting in a car doing their work, but it would be just for a quick to download something or upload something and then return. But we will have some options if those issues arise.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:34 and we stayed late because we wanted to make sure that we answered every single question. We have answered 98 questions tonight live as you asked them. And then we also had our questions corner. And so we tried to answer as many of those as we possibly could as well. So those of you who have been with us the entire 2 hours and 5 minutes, thank you. And I just want you to know, again, as I started out, I appreciate your passion. I appreciate that you are committed to your child, because we are too. We are committed. And so please, if you continue to have questions and concerns, contact us, and especially if it's specific to the elementary, then contact Ms. Bradshaw and Ms. Haygood. But we are all here because we love kids and we love your kids, and that's why we're in Millsap. So thank y'all so very much for this evening, and we can't wait for August 20th. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.